Sparkles on the water. Let's see if we can do this with gouache and only black and white. Let's get started. Thank you guys so much for coming along and hanging out with me today. I am just going to play, have a little bit of fun, and see if I can make something that makes you feel like this picture. I want sparkles on the water. Basically, this is a three-tone picture. You have white, you have gray, and you have black. So I'm just going to use the black and white out of the Himi palette. And there we go. Pull that off. I'm just going to use white. Take a couple spots of white out. And the black, so I do need to wipe the paint off of my palette knife. And I am going to actually use black. Don't usually do that, but so I'm going to put the black right there. I'm going to put another little spot of black up here. That way I can mix my gray, I can mix my black, or keep my black. I am going to go ahead and set my paint over to the side. I'm just going to work in my Hahnemuhle sketchbook. This is watercolor paper. It's about 120 pound, I think. I don't have any tape down on here. I'm just going to give myself a rough pen outline that I'm going to try and paint inside of. I have been sort of binge watching the urban sketching videos. Tons and tons of urban sketching videos on YouTube, and I have been binge watching. Let's see here. Let's see if we can get that. All right, so now you can kind of see the two things together. I actually like sketching straight with the pen and not doing a pencil. You can use a pencil, but the going with the pen gives you sort of a limitation. You know, it's an imposed limitation. Nobody's making me use a pen only. I am just looking at this. I love these little boats. They're like, they make me think of like little wooden shoes. And I will say that I am not going to be perfect. I am not going to get my proportions right. And that's okay. A lot of it, these boats are like pretty much in silhouette anyway. So let's go ahead and zoom in closer on that. So you see here, I've got sort of a rough outline of this first little boat here. You know, I don't have it as wide as it could be. Neat thing about going in with gouache, I can adjust. If any of my pen lines show through at the end, that's okay. I could paint this all in with watercolor. You really don't see much of the actual shape of this. There's a little bit of a space down here where, you know, the water is. There's kind of a little knobby bit up here on the front. But really and truly, that's about all I need to do for this little boat. This one is pretty much in. Middle boat here. And what I'm doing is I'm looking at this shape, and this shape right here is sort of like a backwards letter D. So that's kind of what I'm going to look at here. I'm going to go in, I'm going to go sort of straight on this edge, comes across, and then it swings around. Just like a backwards letter D. Then put a second line next to it. I'm not too worried about making it perfect. The line actually kind of swings up. It's a thinner, the highlighting and things like that will happen, and it will fix a lot of my wanderingness. You could do this with a pencil. Don't feel limited here. If I, let's see kind of a highlight that's coming across there. Mostly what I'm doing is I'm drawing in a little bit of the highlight. This is coming down. The water is horizontal to the paper. This edge here actually kind of comes up. And I see sort of a bump out and a bump out. Little things that you see, but you don't have to you don't have to put words to them if you don't want to. See, reason for bringing that bumped up a little bit. It's all going to get dark anyway, so it doesn't really matter. See that? You don't really see inside the boat. And then there's that little bumpy knob thing right here. And maybe this one more boat. This one is kind of like a leaf shape. This inside bit here, kind of like a leaf. So I think I'm going to try that. And I'm going to say it needs to come. Basically, there's a tiny bit of a gap right here. From there to there. This comes up. Sort of comes just in line, actually. You might think that it would be farther, but it's really not. And I'm going to have it going all the way off the edge here, so you're not even going to see a little bit of a bump, little bit of a bump. That sort of leaf shape. And it sort of flattens on that side. Sort of a front bit, the bow. You don't see any of the, well, maybe you see a tiny bit of the bench on the inside, but not really very much. Sort of a very shallow line. Mostly it's just there. I think that's all I'm going to do of those. Now that I've got my outline, I'm going to go ahead and put in my mid-tone gray. Then I will be able to put my sparkles on and the shadows. I think I'm going to put the shadows in after the mid-tone gray. So mid-tone gray is going on, then the shadows, then the boats, then the highlights, and the sparkles. This is just a random Royal 5/8 inch. I liked it because it was 5/8 inch, a little bit wide. I'm taking my black. Actually, and a big chunk of that white. And I should have taken just a dot of black to my white. There we go. Little touch of water, wake that up a little bit. I will probably be grabbing more white. Now, dark colors dry lighter, light colors dry darker with gouache. So, I think we're going to be okay. I'm just going to grab this white right here, make it a lot lighter, and get it pretty wet. Not soupy wet. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and get a nice flat wash of this. And if you look at it, it is not completely mixed. And I'm not worried about having these rough edges either. I think they're kind of fun. But while it's still wet, I want to lighten it up because it feels way too dark. Now I've got a much lighter version here, and I am going to, yep, just kind of work it in. Okay, so now I'm going to grab some of that darker version, and I'm going to go in and start putting my shadows on the water. Shadow here, there's a shadow that's between these two boats. And this is a crafting brush. This isn't a regular watercolor brush, so it's cheap. But any of your brushes that are made for acrylic paint, brushes that are made for watercolor will work with your gouache, but you know, it's a little bit heavier, it's a little bit rougher. I would maybe go more with my brushes for acrylic, and or a crafting brush that are kind of those ones that are marketed for everything. Yeah, that would work. See how I'm starting to get a little bit of the shadow in the water, and I'm sort of dancing it back and forth. And now I'm going to go ahead and very gently put some little highlights on the water. You notice I'm doing all of this before I even paint the boats. Part of that is just a delaying tactic. Part of it is also I'm working in layers, and my boats are my most foreground layer as far as my brain's concerned. Now this is more of a painting sketch. It's not a super, it's not a super finished piece of art. Some of these, there's like some brighter spots on the water, but I don't want to do them totally don't want them to be bright white yet. These are kind of my the outside glow. And this is the Mimic number 4 round. So I'm just trying to get sort of like little balls of glow. Now this might be something that the Q-tip or earbud would work really well for, putting these dots in. Sort of a bright one over here. You can kind of see, what I'm doing now, right? There's like maybe a few littler dots, little ones, and then maybe a bigger one, little one. I don't want it to end up looking like it got snowy. It's just wet. Wipe the water off. I'm going to come along, and on some of these, I'm going to sort of draw through them. I like that. Get it to be more fuzzed out, more. You know, you can only click subscribe once, but you can like every single video. So, you know, even if you've decided that you don't want to subscribe, you can always click the like button. Watch the videos all the way through. You never know what I'm going to talk about at the end. And this time I'm going to show you my new coloring books. So hang out to the end if you want to see the new coloring book. I'm going to go ahead and I don't have to leave the white space, but if I do leave the white space, it just helps me to remember where it goes. See, look at that. We're just going to get this painted in. There's that board on the inside. Again, this is not super detailed. This is not the rendering of a totally realistic. I want them to look like they could be floating in the water, but, you know, they don't necessarily have to be perfect. Yeah, that's cool. That is so, so cool. I want to put a little bit of this darker, sort of darker shadow with that more black. But I'm not going to take out all of my highlights and all of my sparkles, but I am going to sort of bring it in. Ooh, look at that. That worked. I love the magic of gouache. Let's see how we do for the next one, eh? This is looking so, so neat. I wish I would have put tape down. Dagnabbit. But you know what? You do what you do, and sometimes you learn. So here I'm going to go ahead and just sort of give myself a bit of a highlight. See, it didn't have to be done in pen. I need a rigger. Difference between a rigger and a detail round. So this is a 3/0 round. And this is a rigger. It has much longer. Actually, they're calling this one a script liner. But it will hold more paint and it will make longer, smoother line. So I think that's what we're going to go for. Just like that. Now it is picking up some of the black that's inside the boat. That's okay, because look at that. It just gave me that feeling of it being like a little plank board in there with a little bit of a highlight on the top. We've got the front of that boat. And now I am working on this when my paint is still kind of wet. So, you know, sometimes things will get a little out of hand. I think I'm going to grab some of the black. Oh, look at that. That's working. That's working. Clean up the inside edge. A little bit of water. Outside edge. That little boat looks sweet. And really, I don't have to do much more. I am going to put the little shadow right here. And bright spot right there. Fix that little bit right there, just because sometimes those little lines just takes a couple little seconds to fix it when you notice it. If you fix it when you notice it, then later when you notice it again, or you would notice it again, it's already taken care of and you don't have to worry about it. And I probably should have some clean water also. You know, clean water? What's that? Why would you have clean water when you're doing a painting with black and white? sort of making little echoes of light around some of those closer up dots. Kind of like the stars on the Starry Night by Van Gogh. Put those little echoes of color, of light. Little bullseyes. Having the bright, bright white. Having a few of those extra glowy sparkles. All right, I like this. I like this a lot. I think the only thing that I will probably end up doing is after it's dry, I will put some tape around the outside, just ever so slightly, and straighten up those edges. Maybe. Should I straighten the edges? I don't know. So that's what we ended up with. It really feels sparkly. This feels the way I wanted it to feel. Really and truly. This feels the way I was anticipating it to feel. Set that over there. But it's in my sketchbook, and I am so happy. Thank you guys so much for being here. Remember, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends, all this stuff. If you want, oh, I got to show you my coloring book. We have 2 new coloring books out. Some of you have seen this one. This one came out just before the beginning of March, middle of March. This is my Cottages and Homes coloring book. And this is what sort of got me started thinking about doing more of the urban sketching. Aren't these fun? I left room. There's enough room on the pages so that you can put more of your own imagination into these pieces. And then there's some that are very imaginative already. This one is like a Viking cottage. It was from a movie set. Some of the houses are houses that are in my neighborhood. Some of them are from around the world. Lots of fun to color, to do whatever you want to do. I mean, some are very, very simple. Some are a little bit more detailed. I hope that you will check it out and see if these are what you would like to do. This is the Amazon type coloring book. So the paper is pretty much, I think they say it's 60-pound text weight paper. So it's, heavier than a standard copy machine, but not too much heavier. And then this one is my new coloring book that just came out, April. And it would be a perfect Mother's Day present. It would be a great gift for people who are dealing with anxiety or who need some positive reinforcement. So this is an 8.5 by 11 book, and this one is 8.5 by 8.5, and they are on Amazon. So there we go. Everything is printed just on one side. They're all posters. I left enough room so that you can take a craft knife and cut out the pages. They are not perforated, and that's just because I can't get them perforated with Amazon. But everything is drawn by me. Be kind, be you, do you, for you. Yes, be positive. If you're interested, my coloring books are very competitively priced. There are over 40 designs and a few samples at the back from different books that I have published on Amazon. So if you're interested in some of the other coloring books, you get a sample of my other books. I have 5 coloring books total right now, so check them out on Amazon if that is something that you would like to do. Thank you for your support. It's a great way to help out my little business. And should I do this as a big painting? I kind of think I want to. I don't know. Let me know. Remember, you are creative, you are amazing, and I am so thankful that you guys are part of my world. Take care, and I'll see you soon.